The last time around when we were giving you and getting you all the details on Chandrayaan 3, I was in Bengaluru because that's where the tracking center is, that's where the headquarters is. Behind me, this is in Sriharikota, and I'll just show you what's happening here. This is the Satish Dhawan Space Center. It's from here that all of your launches take place, whether it's, satellites like Aditya L1, whether it's missions like Chandrayaan 3 and all of those spacecraft. All of those happen from here because of the massive area, the land that ISRO has in this particular center, the Satish Dhawan Space Center. Security has been beefed up, which we'll get Pramod to explain to you in just a bit. You can see a lot of people, not just locals, but interestingly, I've been seeing a lot of tourists come here also to click pictures, click selfies from the Satish Dhawan Space Center. And that's how epic space really has become for every Indian. They recognize and it resonates with them. Space tech, space reform and India's space journey. And all of that is courtesy what our ISRO heroes have accomplished. They've given us many reasons to celebrate. Tomorrow will be another one. It's a big day for space. It's a big day for sport. And it's amazing to see that Indians today are celebrating both in equal measure. Tomorrow, 11:50 a.m. is when Aditya L1 will be launched. I'll be one of the lucky few who will be able to witness it live, but I promise to get you all the action from the ground as well. But what really is Aditya L1 about? Why is ISRO putting its focus on the sun? Let me first get you the latest report about what's happening and the latest reaction from ISRO Chief Dr. Somnath.
The countdown to the launch of India's first solar mission, Aditya L1, has begun. The Indian Space Research Organization is all set to launch its first space mission to study the sun at 11:50 a.m. on Saturday from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh.
तो सब कुछ ऑन ट्रैक है और कोई भी ऐसी कोई ये देखी नहीं है जिसके कारण हमको लॉन्च में कोई बाधा आए, तो वो सब देखते हुए हमारे लॉन्च का ऑथराइजेशन मोरलेस हमने क्लियर कर दिया.
Aditya L1 is designed to provide remote observation of the solar corona and in-situ observation of the solar winds at L1 or the Sun-Earth Lagrange point 1, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. Not only will the Aditya L1 ISRO study the sun's atmosphere and its interaction with solar winds, but it also aims to look into the super high temperature of the solar corona and the dynamics of the solar system. Additionally, Aditya L1 will observe solar temperatures, non-uniformity, along with looking at the main drivers of space weather. Just ahead of the launch, ISRO Chief S. Somnath visited the Sri Chengalamma Parmeshwari temple and prayed for the success of the mission.
Next launch is this one, Aditya L1. What is next launch? Another one. After that launch is Gaganyaan launch. Gaganyaan launch will be a test vehicle launch. So it is getting ready. So that will happen mostly by October, first or second week.
जी हाँ, अब हम फाइन ब्रेकिंग वेव के एकदम करीब आ चुके हैं. हाँ, अब तालियों के.
On the 23rd of August, India became the first country to land a spacecraft close to the lunar south pole. For ISRO, the solar mission success would be another feather in India's cap. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's take this across to our reporters live who are joining us from Sriharikota, who, like me, will be here tomorrow to witness the magic as Aditya L1 takes to the skies. Neha Batam joining us live from Sriharikota. We also have Pramod Madhav. Pramod Madhav, you're our in-house expert essentially on everything Aditya L1. You've had the opportunity to have so many exclusive conversations with the team that's been actively involved in building Aditya L1. Today is the day, of course, that I'm sure they'll be full of nerves, but also equally full of excitement. Take it away, what's happening around you?
It absolutely is, Akshita. Like, in fact, just like you mentioned, we could simply show you the rockets that actually would carry the spacecraft. We have the GSLV, GSLV-2, and also the PSLV on the right side. That's the one. That's the rocket. In fact, we could call it as the XL version because it's going to have 4 stages: one solid, one liquid, another solid, and another liquid stage. And on top of that, inside the heat shield, you would have the Aditya L1. And for the scientific community itself, it's a very big deal because this particular satellite, the spacecraft, is going to actually cruise up to 1.5 million kilometers, which is the distance 1% between the Earth and the Sun. And the very interesting aspect here is that this time, instead of actually orbiting any kind of space object, be it like a moon or a kind of like a planet, this time we are actually going to go around an imaginary point called as the Lagrange point. And this is a point where the actual gravitational force of the Sun and the Earth will be almost having the same kind of power, which will actually hold the satellite at that location. In fact, we are not going to go to the exact Lagrange point, but we are going to be there with an angular diversion of 5 to 20 degrees. That way, this imaginary point will be orbited by our Aditya L1, from where it will collect all the data. In fact, I'm showing you over this gate. You cannot even cross this gate right now, Akshita, because that's the kind of security over here. This is not even the starting point. From here, almost a kilometer away, you have the second gate, and this place is completely cordoned off. A lot of security measures have been placed over there because this is the kind of dedication ISRO puts in to send the rocket up to that point, Akshita.
I wish we could go in, Prabodh. We tried hard. We have our passes with us, but those passes are valid only for tomorrow. We tried hard to get in, but we were told very clearly, no, this is a high security location, which we completely understand, right? They're getting set for this big launch. Tomorrow we'll be inside, so we'll be getting you a much closer view of that launch pad. Everything's primed, everything is ready. I want to take this across to Neha Batam also, who shares my excitement because Neha, like me, has flown down from Delhi for this historic moment. Is going to be one of the lucky few to witness the launch of Aditya L1. What's got you particularly excited about this mission, Neha?
Everything about it, Akshita, and right from the time when the countdown began at 12:10 this afternoon until the time we wait for the watches to go past 11:50 tomorrow morning, everything is going to get us the excitement, the euphoria, which we witnessed for Chandrayaan 3 as well, because this mission is very special for India. Before this, only NASA and the European Space Mission could be able to get closer to the Sun through their solar missions. In fact, Aditya L1 was mentioned by the Prime Minister in his speech once the Chandrayaan 3 landed, and you remember how ecstatic he was. And in a similar manner, we are also very excited. It has 7 payloads, in fact, which will gather a lot of information about the Sun, like the solar emissions, the solar temperature, the entire atmosphere around the Sun, because it's about 15 lakh kilometers away from the Earth that this Aditya L1 mission is going to be placed. And also the fact that it is made with an estimated cost of 400 crores, which is like a huge sum. And it also indicates the fact how much India is investing in its solar missions or its moon missions. And both were, in fact, if I'm not wrong, about 10 days apart. So it was the right time for the launch, and we witnessed how in the morning all these scientists, along with Mr. Somnath, went to the temple and prayed for its success with a miniature of the Aditya L1 mission, the entire spacecraft.
You know, there's been a lot of talk of faith or science. I think ISRO heroes have shown that both can be combined and ensure success for the nation. Neha, making several points there that I want to pick out. One about the cost of Aditya L1. It's a huge amount of 400 crores, but you picture that and juxtapose it against how much other countries have spent on solar missions. It's nothing. It's about $45 million. When you compare it to the US or Europe, it's at least $100 million plus. So you can imagine how much, again, India is saving on space tech. And all that is courtesy our ISRO scientists ensuring everything is made at home, made in India. That's what's made the real difference in the costing of whether it's a Chandrayaan 3 or an Aditya L1. Let's take this across to an expert also. Neha, Pramod, Rukesh, both of you to stay on with me. I want to introduce on this broadcast Dr. Ramesh Chelladurai, who's part of the European Space Agency, the ESA. He's a Ground Services Manager there. So, Dr. Cheladurai, a pleasure having you with us here on India Today. Considering that ESA has already accomplished a solar mission, you have a solar orbiter in place, sir. Can you explain to us how hard really is a sun mission, a solar mission?
Sure. Basically, science is all about understanding the basic dynamics of how things work, how things interact. So, if we ask the question, how much do we know about the sun? Very little. So, we have started the journey in understanding the dynamics of sun since there has been a couple of missions, Ulysses, Solar Orbiter, SOHO, even Cluster. But do we know enough? No, not yet. So any mission which is going to study the sun and the way how it is behaving would be really beneficial for the scientific community. We might have some new understandings about the sun, and there is a lot to learn about the way how sun acts and behaves.
But I wonder, Dr. Cheladurai, one point that's really stuck out for all of our viewers is the fact that this satellite is going to take 4 months to reach the point, which is the Lagrange imaginary point where it's going to be doing that halo orbit. 1.5 million kilometers. Is that the hardest part, the distance to cover over 4 months?
In terms of journey and the distance, yes, it is a long distance. But on the other hand, there are many other factors which also play a major role. For example, positioning the spacecraft in its final N1 orbit, it's one of the hardest part as well. We call it as station keeping maneuvers, which will have to be done regularly in order to keep the spacecraft in its position. So looking at the whole thing as someone who is into spacecraft operations, I would say there are many other challenges as well. And traveling to a farther distance like L1, yes, it is also one of the important challenges which we will have to face.
From what you're telling us, clearly this is a difficult mission. And the fact that ISRO is pulling this off is amazing. It's an amazing feat because, again, we join a very elite space league. From the details that we have right now, Dr. Cheladurai, of the many payloads on board Aditya L1 to, track the magnetic field, to track the solar particles, to track solar flares and how it affects Earth's temperature. What excites you the most about Aditya L1 and its payloads?
It is just adding value to the scientific community. So to answer your question, we will have to look into the immediate needs of the scientific community within India, basically because ISRO is sending the mission to meet the needs of the scientific community within India, which would also be beneficial for the worldwide scientific community. So the requirements come from those users who are going to use the data from the spacecraft. So which data will be valuable? It would be hard to say now. What will Aditya find out once it is in orbit? We do not know yet. It is a long way to go. We still have some more months to wait for. But based on the valuable data it brings, the scientific community will have to make this final statement on this declaration.
Okay, and my final question to you, Dr. Cheladurai, is something our viewers have been asking a lot. Why is it that ISRO has zeroed in on the sun after the moon? Why is it crucial to kind of research and study the sun in this manner? Why is it that ISRO and NASA also have invested in these kind of satellites?
It is important. When we look at the scope of the space activities which has been carried out in the past by ISRO, of course, all the space missions will be of value to the Indian community. Now that we have landed on the surface of the moon, and the next steps would be, one can imagine that it would be sending humans, or talking about the Gaganyaan mission. There will be a huge impact on the humans one day if we plan to go to the moon or even send astronauts through the Gaganyaan mission, because the effects of radiation and the space weather can have a direct impact on these missions, either be it a future lunar program or be it a Gaganyaan. So it is essential that ISRO has a post out there in space to be able to capture what is going on in terms of the space weather and convert that data for using it for the other missions. So that is point number one. And you can also add by saying that it is just like having a post out there wherein we capture the data before it reaches the
Sure.
Earth, which we call as prediction. So the impact of solar flares, the corona mass ejections, it would be much beneficial for the Indian infrastructure on ground to be able to prepare themselves in case one day if there is a serious consequence coming naturally from the sun.
Very, very interesting details that you've given us, Dr. Chaladurai. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. And hopefully we'll reconnect with you once the launch is successful. Neha, Pramod and I are here in Sriharikota. We're going to be joined by my colleague Kumar Kunal as well tomorrow. And between the four of us, we promise to get you a 360-degree view of the launch, get you every single detail that you need to know about the Aditya L1 mission. Tomorrow is the India-Pakistan match. Tomorrow is also the launch of Aditya L1. And as I started off saying on this broadcast, we Indians now are equally interested and passionate about both space and science and sports. So sports and space, both is something that we will keep a close eye on. That's it from me. Thanks very much for tuning in to this special edition of 6 p.m. Prime. This is me, Akshita Nandagopal, signing off from Sriharikota, the Satish Dhawan Space Centre.